know, it's funny. If you look at something, sisters, yeah, how integral women are to Islam. Who was the first? Who was the first to accept the call of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Huh? Huh? You guys don't know? Khadija radiallahu anha, a woman, the first believer in Islam. And when I say Islam, I mean the Islam of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All the previous prophets were upon Islam, but the Islam as we know it today was Khadija radiallahu anha. It was a woman. Who was the first to die for Islam? Huh? Another woman. Who aided and helped the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was escaping from Mecca to Medina when the Quraysh were trying to kill him? Such that if he was caught on this journey, he wouldn't have made it to Medina. And he might have been killed, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and we wouldn't have had the Islam today. Asma bint Abi Bakr radiallahu anha, who was the daughter of Abu Bakr, who was from those who narrated the most narrations of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who gave us a huge portion of the Prophet's sunnah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, such that if we never had it, we would have had a huge chunk of the Prophet's sunnah missing. Aisha radiallahu anha, a woman again, who was from one of the people who ran into the battlefield to save the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he's been attacked in the battle of Uhud, when even some of the men, they walked away because they thought the Prophet was dead. Again, a woman, Umara radiallahu ta'ala anha, her name was Nusayba radiallahu ta'ala anha. You see, women, they play an integral role. Hatta even after the Sahabiyat, who was the person who established the first ever university? Huh? Who is it? Fatima al-Fikri. She was a woman. She was the first person to establish the university establishment. And the kuffar now, they have Oxford University, and they have LSE, and they have King's, and they have what, Harvard and Yale, all these. It came from one of your ancestors. It came from one of your ancestors. And it's sad, and it's so depressing that women have such an important integral role in Islam, but today the women of Islam, most of them are sleeping, such that when they get a platform to speak, when they get a platform to contribute, what do? They contribute hijab tutorials, and they contribute makeup tutorials, and they contribute hijabi fashion tutorials, as if to say that's all that a Muslim woman is capable of doing. And then they want to complain, why is it that we don't get to speak, and why is it that men speak about our issues? Barakallahu feek, sister, it's because when you got a chance to speak, you taught us how to contour our cheeks. That's why we tell you, sit down please, and let someone else do it. Until a woman rises from amongst you that will be able to deal with the job. So who's going to get up and do it, sisters? Wallah, who's going to do it? That we can't have the same excuses that we had 10, 15 years ago, as in there's not much opportunities for women and so on and so forth. Now you guys have got more opportunities. Opportunities are coming your way. They really are. They really are. When are the women going to come out and do something? Seek knowledge to a high level. Memorize the Quran. Go into the Arabic language. Memorize these mutun. Teach. When are they going to really take it seriously? We're waiting. We need it, wallahi. Because until the women, they get up and they realize this objective, the ummah is going to be suffering. The ummah is going to be suffering. The wife of Imran, alayhi salam, she asked Allah for a son. In Jerusalem, the Romans were oppressing the people. And the Banu Israel were finished. And Jerusalem had been overtaken by the Romans. It had been overtaken by the Romans. And the people were losing their religion. So the wife of Imran, she asked for a son. And the son could be given in the path of Allah. And then khair could come from this son. And when she became pregnant, it was a daughter. Confused. Disappointed. Allah, I asked for a son. And you gave me a daughter. The daughter is not like the son. And Allah said, Allah knows what you gave birth to. Allah chose for her to have that daughter. Because what she wanted could be better accomplished by a woman than a man. And then from that woman came Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, who was from Ulul Azmi min al-Rusul, the greatest messengers who ever walked the face of this earth. And from that woman came that man, that great man. But the point is, that great man needed that woman to be there for him. She raised him. She carried him. She cultivated him. She nurtured him. She was the mom of a prophet, of a messenger. To show you that the messenger, he wouldn't have been who he was if it wasn't for that woman before him. So you want to change the world, you change it through a woman. But as long as the women are sleeping and they're running towards this feminist mentality, let me find my rights from other than Islam, which is what they're pushing. Let me turn away from the text, follow my desires. Let my day be occupied by makeup and men. And how do I look? The biggest problem on most women, biggest thing in most women's minds is, how do I look? How do I look? Just concerned with something that's so superficial. And I don't blame you. Like, you've actually been conditioned through the media, through schools, through education, through families, through friends, to believe in this way. But you have to fight it now. This is your fitna. It's your trial. You have to cut off from these media outlets that are brainwashing you and conditioning you to feel like this, that are causing you to be insecure. You have to cut off from these people that are encouraging you, influencing you, them circle of friends that you have. Because the longer you do that, the longer you're going to be quiet. I look at our mums, and they never had much opportunity. And a lot of them might have been oppressed due to their culture and so on and so forth. Okay? And they gave birth to what? My generation, which is you people, right? But you people, not all of you, but a lot of you have been conditioned and finished because of these people, right? When I say you, I don't mean you as in like you guys sitting here. I'm talking about our sisters who are suffering and struggling. Like, alhamdulillah, Allah has protected a lot of you, which is clearly, apparent from yourselves. But our generation, a lot of the sisters, a lot of the women have been conditioned, restricted even worse than our mums. Even worse than our mums. They might have more freedom in terms of sins that they can do than our mums, but they don't have freedom in terms of spiritual liberation. Because they've been imprisoned and shackled through their own desires. As Imam Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala said, حَرَبٌ مِّن رِقِّ الَّذِي خُلِقُوا لَهُ, that you ran away from the shackles of the one who created you, إِلَى رِقِّ النَّفْسِ وَالشَّيْطَانِ, towards the shackles of shaitan and your nafs. You became a slave and a prisoner to your nafs and to your own lowly desires and to shaitan. So from the outside you're free, but spiritually you're not. You're actually very trapped. Can you call a woman free when she can't even leave the house until she looks a certain way? She doesn't feel comfortable in her own skin. She's a slave. She's in prison. She's in prison. Of course she is. She doesn't feel comfortable to leave the house the way Allah created her. She has to spend an hour reforming, reshaping herself before she's accepted. And she's doing it for people who don't even care about her. If she did it for her husband, I'd understand. But she's doing it for a person who has no concern, no care in the world for her. He doesn't give two damns. But she's worried, how will this person who I will never see in my life, who means nothing to me, how will they perceive me? I mustn't look strange to them. I must go out of my way, stress myself to look a particular way, violate the laws and the rights of my Lord for the rights of a person. It's not even his right, but for his rights, who doesn't even care about me? That's slavery. So the women today have been slaved. So these women, when they have children, how are their children going to be? Those girls, wallahi, it's scary to think how they're going to come out. Wallahi, it's scary to think how they're going to come out. It's going to be even worse. Even more superficial. Even more materialistic. Even more insecure. Even more self-conscious. That's going to cause them to go and violate the rights of Allah further. So until the women wake up, the generations are going to keep slipping. Look at Imam al-Bukhari, rahimahullah. Who was the integral person that played a role in his life? He was born blind. His mum would make dua for him. And then Allah gave him his eyesight back. What about Imam Malik, rahimahullah? Imam Malik, Imam Darul Hijrah, the Imam of Medina. The Imam that people used to beat the backs of their camels to get to him. They used to travel to him by foot from different parts of the world. Do you know that he was a child who they thought he's not going to do much in life? He used to just go play with pigeons. If you saw a kid playing with pigeons, you would say, this kid's he's a lost cause. His mum, she focused on him. She used to dress him up as a scholar, as a child, a little mufti. And then she used to send him to the masjid, go and seek knowledge from the scholars. She would push him. And it was because of that lady that he became the man that he was. And if it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have become that he was. What did she needed to be a woman of knowledge in the first place? She needed to be a woman who was worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first place to be like that. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, when he was born, his father died. So his mum took him and he lived in Gaza, in Palestine, and she took him and left this woman on her own. And what's she doing? She's leaving her home and her land and her people to go to Mecca, so that her son, in a distant land she's living, so her son can learn in Mecca. So her son can study in Mecca. And there he did. And he became the Imam of an entire madhab. An Imam of an entire madhab. Right, the story goes on. The list, they go on. The list goes on. It goes on and on and on. Some women, they say, oh, when I get married, I want my husband to teach me. Why do you have such low aspiration? Why don't you want to teach your husband? How many women have taught their husbands in the past? Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh, if I'm not mistaken, he married his daughter to... Sa'id ibn Musayyib rahimahullah married his daughter to one of his students. Sa'id ibn Musayyib, who's a great scholar. He married his daughter to one of his students. And one day, he didn't come to class, his student, after he got married. He didn't come to class. He was about to leave the door and his wife was like, where are you going? He said, I'm going to your dad's class. He said, be quiet, sit down. He taught me everything, I'll teach you. So he sit there, took notes from his wife. When he went to the sheikh's like, where you been? He's like, your daughter is teaching. Men, great men, used to go and marry scholars' daughters, just so the daughters could teach them and benefit them. This is what book? Who can tell me what the name of this book is? Who can tell me what the name of this book is? This is called Tafsir Ibn Kathir. This is one volume. It's big. It's a thick volume. This publication, there's 7 of these. This great man who wrote this tafsir, which is the most famous tafsir in the world, right? You've all heard Tafsir Ibn Kathir, right? The man who wrote this tafsir, who did he marry? He married the daughter of the great Imam Abu Hajjaj al-Mizzi, who is an Imam of Hadith. He married her to get closer to the Shaykh and so he could benefit from his daughter. This great man, it was these women. They had something to give, so they would go after them. Ibn Hajar al-Haytami was a massive, gigantic scholar of Hadith, an Imam. His wife, she never used to study from him. She used to revise with him. Can you revise with your teacher? No. Can I go to my teacher, Shaykh Abdul Rahman, and say, Shaykh, we revise? That's an embarrassment and an insult. How can I revise when I'm ignorant? He's a teacher, he has to teach me. But can he go to his contemporaries and say, can I revise with you? Yes, he can. Can I go to my other fellow students in class and say, let's revise together? Yes, I can, because we're on the same level. So his wife would never study under him. She would revise with him. Revision helps him as much as it helps her. We have to have the aspiration, my sisters. Do you understand? When is it going to happen though? It has to start with one of you, right? Start, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, as someone who gives da'wah, I want you to go to Jannah. Now we all know that anyone who's a believer will ultimately make it to paradise or go to Jannah, right? And that's true, but what a lot of people don't realize is, what does it mean to be a believer? Is it merely just knowing La ilaha illallah? No. Is it merely just saying it? No. The Prophet ﷺ told us in an authentic hadith that anyone who knows La ilaha illallah, he has knowledge. He has ilm of La ilaha illallah. And then he dies. Dakhal al-Jannah, he will enter paradise. So you have to have knowledge of it. Knowledge of its meaning, knowledge of its pillars, knowledge of its conditions, of what it necessitates. In fact, many people don't realize, but La ilaha illallah is the foundation of the whole religion. Everything stems from it. How? Where? In what way? these are all things that you have to learn. For that reason, we have a online Islamic Studies Institute called the Knowledge College, and the very first thing that we teach on the Knowledge College is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So if you click the link below, inshallah ta'ala, check out the website. Hopefully you'll join us on the other side, and you can start studying La ilaha illallah with us. And then from that point onwards, we'll branch out to the other areas of the religion. We start on a basic level and we work our way up to the top. So hopefully you can start your journey seeking knowledge with the most important things first. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.